Commander Zekthor of the Burning Legion stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the blue planet grow larger on the viewing screen. His crimson exoskeleton gleamed under the ship's harsh lighting as he analyzed the tactical display with his 3 compound eyes. "This world will fall within cycles," he announced to his officers. "My scouts report the inhabitants are soft, fragmented, and technologically primitive. They call themselves humans." The Burning Legion had conquered 47 star systems in their expansion across the galaxy. Each species had fallen before their superior weaponry and strategic brilliance. Earth would be no different. "Sir, we're detecting unusual atmospheric readings," reported Lieutenant Vaxal from her station. "Significant water vapor concentrations." Zekthor dismissed the concern with a wave of his clawed appendage. "Irrelevant. Begin orbital positioning. We strike at their largest population centers simultaneously." The fleet consisted of 300 warships, each carrying thousands of warriors bred for conquest. The Burning Legion originated from Pyraxis 7, a desert world where water was more precious than gold. Their bodies were silicon-based, efficient, and required minimal moisture to survive. They had learned to harvest what little water existed on conquered worlds, adding it to their stockpiles. As the ships assumed attack formation, the intelligence division presented their findings to Zekthor. "The humans have divided themselves into nearly 200 territorial groups," explained the chief analyst. "They wage primitive wars against each other using chemical explosives and kinetic projectiles. Their unity is virtually non-existent." Zekthor's mandibles clicked in satisfaction. "Excellent. They will be too busy fighting among themselves to mount an effective resistance. What of their military capabilities? Crude nuclear weapons, conventional aircraft, and surface vessels. Nothing that poses a threat to our shields. However, Commander, there is something peculiar in the biological scans." "Speak." "The humans appear to be excessively hydrated. Our sensors indicate their bodies contain approximately 60 to 70% water by mass." The bridge fell silent. Zekthor's 3 eyes narrowed as he processed this information. "That's impossible," he hissed. "No intelligent species could function with such excessive internal moisture. Your sensors must be malfunctioning." "I've run the scans 3 times, sir. The readings are consistent. Furthermore, the planet's surface is 71% covered in liquid water. Massive oceans, lakes, and rivers. The humans even consume it directly for sustenance." Zekthor felt a tremor of unease ripple through his exoskeleton. In all their conquests, they had never encountered a species so fundamentally composed of their most valued resource. It seemed wasteful, inefficient, and frankly disturbing. "Maintain invasion protocols," he commanded, suppressing his discomfort. "The conquest begins at dawn. These water-bloated creatures will learn to fear the Burning Legion." But as the fleet descended toward Earth's atmosphere, none of them could have predicted just how terrifying a species made of water could truly be. First contact. The invasion began in Mumbai, India, where the Burning Legion's first dropship screamed through the morning sky. Citizens fled in terror as the alien craft landed in the heart of the city, disgorging hundreds of warriors onto the streets. Captain Ralvik led the first ground assault, his soldiers spreading out in perfect formation. Their thermal scanners locked onto the fleeing humans, weapons charging for the initial strike. "Easy targets," Ralvik transmitted to his squad. "Begin." He stopped mid-command as his scanner displayed the thermal readings more clearly. The humans weren't just running. They were sweating. Profusely. Moisture literally poured from their skin as they exerted themselves in the humid heat. "By the burning sands," whispered one of his soldiers. "They're leaking." Ralvik watched in horrified fascination as the humans' bodies automatically cooled themselves by secreting water through millions of pores. It was the most grotesque biological function he had ever witnessed. His own species would die if they lost even a fraction of that much moisture. The initial shock gave Earth's military forces time to respond. Indian Army units arrived, establishing defensive positions. When the first shots were exchanged, the Burning Legion learned another disturbing truth about humanity. Humans bled. And blood was mostly water. Lieutenant Gupta took a plasma bolt to the shoulder, crying out as he fell. His squad members dragged him to cover while a medic rushed forward. Ralvik watched through his targeting scope as the humans worked frantically to stop the bleeding, their hands becoming slick with the water-based fluid. "They're filled with water," one of his soldiers screamed over the communication channel. "It's inside them. All of them." Ralvik tried to maintain order, but the psychological impact was devastating. His warriors, raised on a world where a cup of water was worth a month's wages, were facing enemies who casually leaked their most precious resource with every movement. Then the rain started. Monsoon season had arrived in Mumbai, and the skies opened up with the fury of a tropical downpour. Water fell from the sky in sheets, something the Burning Legion had only heard about in terrified whispers from other conquered species. The aliens' formation broke as they scattered for cover. Their silicon-based biology could tolerate moisture, but this was overwhelming. The rain soaked their equipment, disrupted their sensors, and most psychologically devastating of all, the humans didn't seem to care. Gupta, despite his wound, laughed as he saw the aliens fleeing. "What's wrong?" he shouted. "Never seen rain before." Indian soldiers advanced through the downpour, firing on the retreating aliens. They moved with practiced ease through puddles and mud, completely unbothered by the water cascading over their bodies. Ralvik ordered a retreat to the dropships. "Fall back. Back to orbit." As his ship lifted off, he transmitted an emergency report to Commander Zekthor. "Sir, we need to abort the invasion. These creatures, they're not just composed of water. They're comfortable with it. They live in it. They even seem to enjoy it." From his flagship, Zekthor watched similar reports flooding in from attack sites around the globe. Every landing force had encountered the same horrifying reality. Humans were walking water repositories who showed no concern for conservation or moisture loss. The human response. At Peterson Space Force Base in Colorado, Admiral Patricia Morrison watched the alien retreat with grim satisfaction. The initial panic had given way to a coordinated military response, and Earth's forces were discovering something unexpected: the invaders were terrified of water. "Get me analysis on these aliens," she ordered her staff. "I want to know what makes them tick." Dr. James Okonkwo, the base's chief xenobiologist, pulled up the scattered intelligence gathered from the brief encounters. "Admiral, based on their behavior patterns and our sensor data, I believe they're silicon-based life forms from an extremely arid environment. Water isn't just scarce for them, it's probably their most valuable resource." Morrison leaned forward. "Are you telling me they came to a planet that's 70% ocean?" "It appears so. They likely saw Earth as the galaxy's largest water reserve. What they didn't anticipate was that the water was already claimed, by us. And that we're made of the stuff." A tactical officer interrupted. "Admiral, the alien fleet is regrouping in high orbit. We're detecting increased energy signatures. They might be preparing for a second assault." Morrison nodded. "If water scares them, let's give them a reason to be scared. Contact every nation with launch capabilities. It's time humanity showed these invaders what we're really made of." Aboard the flagship, Commander Zekthor convened an emergency war council. His officers were shaken, some visibly trembling. "We cannot abandon this conquest," Zekthor insisted. "Earth represents the largest water reserve in this sector. We need it." "But Commander," protested Lieutenant Vaxal, "the humans are abominations. They waste water like it's nothing. They leak it, they live surrounded by it, they even use it to wash themselves. It's obscene." Zekthor slammed his claw on the console. "They are inferior. We have superior technology, superior weapons, superior tactics. We will adapt and overcome." The communication officer suddenly stiffened. Sir, we're detecting multiple launches from the planet's surface. Hundreds of projectiles heading toward our position. Missiles? Zekthor demanded. Analyzing. Sir, they're not conventional warheads. They appear to be containers. The first wave of rockets reached the burning Legion fleet and detonated. But instead of explosions, they released their payload, thousands of gallons of water, flash frozen in space, creating expanding clouds of ice crystals and liquid droplets that drifted toward the alien vessels. Evasive maneuvers. Zekthor screamed. But there was nowhere to go. The second wave arrived, then the third. Water balloons launched from modified ICBMs. Tanker trucks worth of seawater packed into payload containers. Humanity was literally throwing their oceans at the invaders. The alien ship sensors went haywire as water droplets coated their hulls. Warriors looked out viewports in horror as moisture condensed on the outer surfaces. Some of the smaller craft systems began to malfunction as water found its way into ventilation ports. They're attacking us with pure water. Vaxal shouted in disbelief. The siege. The Burning Legion had never encountered psychological warfare quite like this. Commander Zekthor watched in mounting horror as Earth's nations coordinated their most bizarre military operation in human history, Operation Deluge. The Russians launched converted weather modification rockets filled with Arctic seawater. The Americans deployed high-altitude drones that sprayed fine mists around the alien vessels. The Japanese sent up satellites designed to create artificial rain clouds in orbit. Even landlocked nations contributed, sending up precious groundwater reserves. This is madness. Zekthor roared. They're wasting water. Don't they understand how valuable it is? Dr. Okonkwo's voice crackled over an open communication channel that the humans had forced onto every alien frequency. Oh, we understand perfectly, Commander. Would you like to know something interesting? The average human cries out approximately 30 gallons of tears in their lifetime. We have 8 billion people. That's 240 billion gallons of tears alone. Zekthor's mandibles clicked in agitation. Impossible. No species could be so wasteful. Wasteful? Okonkwo laughed. Commander, we have competitive sports where humans throw water balloons at each other for fun. We have festivals where we spray each other with water. Children play in sprinklers on hot days. We are so surrounded by water that we've invented 1,000 ways to waste it recreationally. A video transmission appeared on the fleet's screens. It showed humans at a water park, sliding down massive slides, splashing in wave pools, children laughing as they ran through fountains. The Burning Legion warriors watched in stunned silence, their minds unable to process such casual abundance. This is your final warning, Admiral Morrison's face replaced the water park footage. Leave our system, or we'll show you just how much water Earth really has. Zekthor tried to maintain his composure. You cannot threaten us with a substance that composes your own bodies. We will adapt. We will. Sir, his sensor officer interrupted. New launches detected. Massive payloads. Trajectory indicates. Oh no. The International Space Station had been hastily converted into the largest squirt gun humanity had ever built. Using a series of modified propulsion systems and Earth's gravity well, engineers had created a continuous stream of water that shot toward the alien fleet like a massive fire hose. Millions of gallons of ocean water, pumped up from Earth and accelerated to tremendous velocity, formed a glittering column stretching from the planet to the fleet. The stream struck the flagship's shields, and while it didn't penetrate, the psychological impact was devastating. The Burning Legion warriors watched through viewports as an endless torrent of water, more water than most of them would see in 10 lifetimes, flowed past their ships. Some began to weep themselves, their silicon-based tear ducts producing tiny mineral deposits that their species considered the ultimate expression of grief. How much water do they have? Whispered Lieutenant Vaxal. Okonkwo's voice returned. Our oceans contain approximately 326 million trillion gallons. We haven't even used 1% of 1%. We could keep this up for centuries. Breaking point. The Burning Legion's morale crumbled faster than their battle plans. Warriors who had conquered dozens of worlds now cowered in their quarters, traumatized by the sheer abundance of Earth's water. The fleet's psychologists reported unprecedented levels of anxiety, depression, and something they called aquatic overload syndrome. Commander Zekthor found himself in an increasingly impossible position. His superiors at the Burning Legion High Command demanded he secure Earth's water reserves. But his own troops were on the verge of mutiny. "I didn't sign up to face water monsters," one soldier told his commanding officer. "These humans, they drink it. For pleasure. Not just when dying of thirst, but whenever they want. Sometimes they add flavor crystals to it, just to make it more enjoyable." The breaking point came during what humans called the Great Water Display. Every nation on Earth coordinated to activate every fountain, sprinkler system, and water feature simultaneously. From the Bellagio fountains in Las Vegas to garden sprinklers in suburban neighborhoods, from fire hydrants opened in summer heat to the massive Victoria Falls, humanity put its water wealth on full display. Satellites captured the spectacle and broadcast it directly to the alien fleet. Billions of gallons flowed, splashed, cascaded, and sprayed across the planet's surface. Humans filmed themselves drinking tall glasses of water, taking long showers, running through sprinklers, even dumping buckets of water over their heads for fun. "The ice bucket challenge was stupid 10 years ago," one American college student said to the camera, "but if it freaks out alien invaders, I'm bringing it back." He proceeded to dump freezing water over his head, laughing at his own discomfort. In swimming pools around the world, humans deliberately splashed around, demonstrating how they literally submerged their entire bodies in water for recreation. Surfers rode waves. Kayakers navigated rapids. Divers plunged into coral reefs. "This is Lieutenant Commander Martinez of the U.S. Navy," said a submariner from inside a nuclear submarine. "I'm currently 300 feet underwater, surrounded by more water than your entire civilization has ever seen. This is my office." The transmission showed the submarine's crew going about their daily routine, completely comfortable in a pressurized tube surrounded by the ocean. They ate meals, laughed at jokes, conducted drills, all while millions of tons of water pressed against their hull. Zekthor watched his fleet fall apart in real time. 3 ships had already requested permission to leave the system. 2 more reported their crews were refusing to participate in any landing operations. His own flagship's crew gathered in groups, sharing horror stories about Earth's water abundance. "Sir," Vaxal approached him hesitantly, "the crew wants to know, the humans said they have water parks. Entertainment facilities centered entirely around water. Is that true?" "According to intelligence, yes. They build structures whose only purpose is to play with water." "Yes." Vaxal's exoskeleton trembled. What kind of species has so much abundance they can waste it on entertainment? The final revelation. Commander Zekthor made one last desperate attempt to salvage the invasion. He ordered his science division to find a weakness in humanity's water-based biology, something the Burning Legion could exploit. What they discovered instead was even more disturbing. "Commander," the chief scientist reported, his voice hollow with shock, "I've completed a comprehensive analysis of human biology and ecology. The results are beyond anything we imagined." "Show me," Zekthor demanded. The scientist displayed a holographic model of a human body. "Observe. The humans don't just contain water, they actively circulate it throughout their bodies constantly. This blood system pumps water-based fluid to every cell, every moment of their lives. If it stops, they die within minutes." "Inefficient," Zekthor muttered, though his confidence was waning. "There's more, sir. They expel water regularly through multiple biological processes. Urination alone removes up to 2 liters daily. Yet they simply replace it by drinking more. They treat water as infinitely renewable. The scientist pulled up more data. But here's the truly horrifying part. Humans themselves are approximately 71% water, correct? The same percentage as their planet's surface coverage. We initially thought this was coincidence. It's not. Explain. Sir, life on Earth evolved from the oceans. Humans are essentially ambulatory sacs of seawater. They carry the ocean inside them. They never left it, they just brought it along when they moved to land. Zekthor's 3 eyes widened in horror. They're water-given form. In essence, yes. And there's more. Human babies develop inside a fluid-filled sac inside the mother. They literally grow while submerged in water. Their first environment is aquatic. Another scientist joined in. Commander, we've also analyzed their agriculture and food production. They irrigate their crops with billions of gallons daily. They raise aquatic creatures called fish specifically to eat them. Some humans consume 3 to 4 liters of water per day voluntarily. Madness, Zekthor whispered. Sir, we've detected something else. The scientist displayed images of Earth's polar ice caps. These frozen water reserves alone contain enough water to supply our entire civilization for 10,000 years. The humans consider them scenery. Some of them visit these ice formations for tourism. A communication officer burst into the room. Commander. The humans are broadcasting again. You need to see this. The screen showed Admiral Morrison standing in front of Niagara Falls, the massive cascade of water thundering behind her. Commander Zekthor, I'm standing at one of Earth's natural wonders. 6 million cubic feet of water flow over these falls every minute. Every minute, Commander. This has been happening continuously for thousands of years. She gestured to the falls. This is just one waterfall. We have thousands of them. The Amazon River discharges 55 million gallons of water into the ocean every second. The ocean, Commander, which covers most of our planet and evaporates, rains down, and refills itself in an endless cycle. The retreat. Commander Zekthor sat alone in his quarters, staring at the blue planet on his screen. 47 conquests. 47 victories. All meaningless now. The Burning Legion had finally encountered something more powerful than their weapons, abundance beyond comprehension. A message arrived from High Command. His superior's face appeared, the ancient commander's exoskeleton scarred from 1,000 battles. Report, Commander. Why has the conquest stalled? Zekthor transmitted everything, the water attacks, the human psychology, the biological data, the footage of Earth's hydrological cycle. He held nothing back. High Command watched in silence. Finally, the ancient commander spoke. So the legends were true. A water world actually exists. And it belongs to creatures made of water themselves. We have the firepower to conquer them, Zekthor protested weakly. We could glass the planet from orbit, harvest the water from the ruins. And inherit the hatred of a species that doesn't understand scarcity. Commander, these humans would fight us over every drop. They would make the water itself poisonous to us rather than let us take it. They have shown you what they're willing to waste for psychological warfare. Imagine what they'd spend for revenge. The ancient commander's mandibles clicked thoughtfully. We built our civilization on careful conservation, on understanding that every drop of moisture is precious. We cannot comprehend a species that views water as we view air. Abundant. Freely given. Inexhaustible. Then we retreat. We retreat. Mark this system as forbidden. Let the galactic community know, Earth and humanity are not to be disturbed. They are the water people, and their world is beyond our understanding. Admiral Morrison received the message an hour later. The alien fleet was withdrawing from the solar system. Earth had won, not through superior firepower, but through the simple reality of being exactly what it was, a water world inhabited by water beings. They're really leaving? Asked Dr. Okonkwo, watching the fleet's departure on sensors. They are, Morrison confirmed. Apparently, we scared them more than they scared us. We didn't even use our real weapons. Just water. Morrison smiled. To them, Dr. Okonkwo, water is the ultimate weapon. We showed them an abundance they literally cannot imagine. To a civilization that fights wars over water rights, we're incomprehensible. Terrifying. As celebrations erupted around the world, humans did what came naturally to them. They opened bottles of champagne and sparkling water. They jumped into pools and oceans. They stood in the rain with their faces turned upward, laughing. Somewhere in deep space, Commander Zekthor watched his homeworld of Pyraxis 7 grow larger on the viewscreen. His crew was silent, traumatized by what they'd witnessed. They would never see water the same way again. Sir, Lieutenant Vaxal asked quietly, what kind of species evolves in such abundance that they never learn to value their greatest resource? Zekthor thought about the humans, about their laughter in the rain, their casual showers, their swimming pools and water parks and endless oceans. The kind that becomes strong enough to defend that abundance, Lieutenant. The kind we should never have challenged. Earth continued its eternal rotation, its oceans gleaming in the sunlight, its clouds carrying moisture across continents, its rivers flowing endlessly to the sea. Humanity had defended its home not with violence, but with the simple, terrifying truth of what they were. They were water, made conscious and ready to fight. And in all the galaxy, there was nothing more frightening to those who knew true thirst. The end.